Hello, selling people of the internet. This is a little bit different video for me. I'm going to present all of the video completely uncut. I spoke about in the last video about binding and why I didn't use the Singer HC to bind the fanny pack that I made. So I decided to bind it this afternoon, kind of last minute, and I thought I'd just share with you so you can kind of see why I prefer using this kind of binding and this kind of machine for binding it. So this is my Yamada YF335, I think it is. It's a clone of a FOF. I did a video about it in the past, so this video isn't to review the machine. But I just wanted to kind of give you an idea of how relatively quickly this process can go. I do want to point out my shop is in shambles right now because I'm moving some stuff around and making some modifications. So I'm not set up to, do a whole bunch of these real fast, or could be doing it quite a bit faster. But anyway, so I'm using mil-spec 4088 binding and V69 thread as usual. And I'd like to give credit to an Instagram account that I follow. His name is Bigfoot Monty. I'll put a link in the description. He's the one who turned me on to mil-spec 4088 webbing. If you want to see some incredible bags, some really, really creative stuff, and if you're on Instagram, go follow him. So as I've made my way around back to where I started the binding, I've just stopped to trim away the excess binding from the start. And then I just want to get to the point where I'm cutting the binding from the roll. I just kind of estimate that so that it will overlap the start. It doesn't really matter. I mean, if you're really trying to nail a perfect center, that looks nice. I'm just trying to get pretty close, so it's just kind of by eye. And now I've wandered off to get some seam stick tape. I like to use a little piece of seam stick to fold the end where I've cut the binding over. I know that I'm not showing this in great detail, but I put a little piece of tape and fold the edge over so that I have a clean finished edge on the binding. You don't want to leave the binding with a raw edge because it'll fray quite badly, and the whole point of this is to have clean edges. So I've just applied a piece of seam stick tape. I have two versions of seam stick, the seam stick for canvas and the regular seam stick. I use the regular seam stick for this because it's cheaper and I don't really need it to hold for very long. So I just applied that, and then I just want to be careful as I feed that through the binding attachment to make sure it doesn't kind of peel back as it goes through. So just kind of slowly feed that part in. And then it's just a matter of overlapping the start and doing a couple of back stitches to lock the stitch in. And that's that. By the way, these are one of the controversial shears. I forget which pair. I think this is the cheap Amazon pair. And there's one bound edge, and I'm always surprised when I go back and inspect and find that it's perfect, but on a bag like this it's pretty easy. If you're paying even a reasonable amount of attention, it's pretty easy to bind it without missing an edge. As the bags get thicker and the corners get tighter and stuff, it can become quite challenging, but this is a pretty easy one. So I'm just running the binding back through the binder again, getting set up for the next seam. I wasn't using the pneumatic foot lift for a little while just because I needed another air compressor, and I just got a new air compressor, and it's actually really nice to have that working again. I had mixed feelings about the pneumatics, but it is very convenient and fast. So as I'm going around the curves, I'm just trying to pay careful attention to make sure that I keep the piece completely in the binder under the foot. It's easy for it to kind of shift out, and then you're sewing the binding but not sewing it to the bag. On the straight edges, it's pretty easy to do it. It's almost self-guiding. I want to take this opportunity to point out I did not put an edge finish on the main zipper, and I really should have. I just honestly was kind of rushing through this project. I really wasn't expecting it to be something I might use, but it turned out really good, other than the flaws I showed in the last video. So I may have to hit those zipper edges with some hot melt glue. Here I'm just using a little tiny screwdriver. Sometimes you'll get a little fold where the fabric of the bag will fold away from the binder, and you just kind of use a screwdriver to poke it back in. And cutting off the excess from the start again. Again, I think these are the cheap scissors, but both pairs of these, the controversial shears from a few videos back, are still extraordinarily sharp and a pleasure to use. I can't tell any difference between them yet, but and again, just applying a piece of seam stick to fold that edge down. And I just kind of hold it with my thumb as it enters the binder, just to make sure it doesn't get peeled back. Once it's in, it's fine. It's just that moment that it enters the binding attachment that it can get peeled back again. And just that easy. So now the bag is finished. One reason I like using 4088 binding is that it gives a little bit more structure to the bag. It adds a little skeleton kind of to it. And also just the act of binding the seam is adding another stitch line to the seam, so it should provide a little bit more strength. So there's plenty of other ways to do it. A couple people have commented on other ways that you can do an edge finish, but this is by far the method I use the most. Unfortunately, to do it well kind of requires an expensive machine. So anyway, here's the bag again. Hopefully you found that informative or entertaining or something. And if you did, click like and subscribe and all that stuff. And I will see you in an upcoming video. Thanks very much for watching.